And welcome to another show of Don't Get This Twisted. I am Rob, along with my co-host, as always, Tina. How you doing, Tina?
I'm a little sore today, Rob, but I'm doing all right. I'm excited for the show for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. We had a little meeting yesterday, and we went over all the stuff we're going to be doing. And a friend of mine, I had an idea for the month of February because it's the love month. So I had at least one show kind of in place that not this one, but another one. And then I was like, yeah, maybe we should do love and stuff for the whole month. And then you were like, let's do love and sex for the month. I was like, oh, that's a great idea. We have
not talked about sex really at all on the show, which I was surprised because, you know, in my group of friends, that comes up a lot. So we've gone a whole year without doing it.
Yeah, I've been around your friends, and
you're
right.
Love them?
It comes up all the time, man. Crazy. So what I decided to do is I was like, oh, that's a good idea. So I shot it to another friend of mine, and she goes, hey, do best places to have sex. And I was like, all right, that sounds like a good idea. Threw it your way, and you're like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm like, perfect.
So I need to preface this conversation by saying these may or may not be my stories. And if you're somebody that knows me and you don't want to know this, maybe now's the time to turn off this episode and come back after we're done talking about the sex shows, because you're going to learn a little, maybe, and no judgment. I'm an adult. I do what I want to do.
Definitely. And, you know, obviously, if you have children, turn it off now, because I'm sure it's going to get a little racy. So before we get too deep, before we get too in deep conversations, go to our socials: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and soon, I guess we're going to have a TikTok soon. So that'll be out as well. And go check us out at Amazon and Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, any place that you hear podcasts, and make sure you subscribe and follow. Alrighty. Yes. So, I found, I sent some things to a bunch of different people because I wanted to kind of hear what they would say. Cause I thought, you know, we can't just do it on us, cause it could be a very short show, or it could be 3 hours long. Yeah. Well,
who says?
Yeah. Well, I just thought also if you kind of throw the line into the water, you'll probably get some very interesting comebacks. And I did. I was like, oh, that's a different one. And so I got a couple of ones that were kind of different, and like, and you know, look, there's going to be the normal, like, bedroom. Like I thought that one came up more than I thought it would. Like,
a bedroom is a racy place to have sex?
Not the racy, the best place. And someone had some very good arguing points for that. That you, mostly if it's yours, you know the lay of the land, the extracurricular things like toys and such are easily gotten to. Like if you go somewhere else, you might end up forgetting something and such. So
but when you're having sex out, why would you need props? It's more about just being in the moment and just going for it. I don't know.
I brought up hotels. That's why, because, you know, I think that's because, again, best places for some people could be on a vacation while you're out and about. And their thing was like, yeah, you can't take a lot of that other stuff with you. And I was like, all right, I mean, it's a valid argument.
I think that's just circumstances, though. That's not really what makes the unusual places.
No, you know
what I mean?
It could make the best. Because like best places to me are not don't always have to be unusual. There are a few that are unusual on the list. We'll go over a bunch of them. I found some of the ones that obviously are pretty easy, like the movies. I think that's kind of someone, at least when we were younger.
Or theater.
No, I think the theater.
Yeah, I've done both. So.
No, I haven't.
No.
Driving when we were younger, but
driving every freaking weekend we were at the drive-in. So
yes. Yeah, and we had a really good one near us growing up.
Yeah. I remember driving home and staying at a friend's house after my boyfriend and I had messed around in our car. They were in their car. We both took separate cars so we could mess around. And the next morning, my friend's boyfriend's mom was screaming at us to get up, and we all got up and everything. Apparently there was a condom stuck to his car. So yeah, we had to take one car after that for a while.
Boy. Interesting for sure.
That wasn't me. I always threw those away because I didn't like to step on those. So
yeah, that's not a fun one. Obviously we're going to go to the next one, which I think is part of that, cars. I think that's a pretty easygoing, basic place that probably a lot of people, even today, probably still have sex quite often in cars.
I got some good stories about the car ones, though.
I got a good story about the car one, too.
Tell it.
I was with a young lady where this park is very long instead of square. Think more rectangle. Well, it has parking lots on both sides. Okay, so we messed around in, let's say, the front parking lot often. So it was during the daytime. So we decided to go to the other parking lot. And I didn't realize that there was another parking lot. I had only been in the front of this park before and didn't do a lot of walking through it. So we go down to this other part of the parking lot on the other side, and we park, and there's cars parked next to us, but nobody's in them. So we assumed that they were just walking through the park or parked in the parking lot. Well, we were getting down to some busyness, and I was in the passenger seat and she was on top of me. Well, we're doing our thing, and there's a van next to us, and all of a sudden the chair starts coming up on the van, and there's somebody in it. She jumps off of me, and I mean like jumps off of me. In the seat, takes off, and so I'm pulling my drawers up. The funniest thing, though, is that I am laughing hysterically. Like, it's the funniest shit that's ever happened to me. And she's like, "It's not funny." And I'm like, "It's pretty funny."
It's funny. Yeah.
It's pretty funny. She's like, "It's not funny." So we end up, we end up back in the front parking lot. And she's like going, "They're going to call the cops and we can't get," because I said, "Look, they're not going to call the cops, first of all." But it was just funny because I couldn't stop laughing. It was utterly hysterical, only because, like, the cops have to catch you, first of all. Like, word of mouth. If someone, even if they would have came up into the other front parking lot later on, we could have just been like, "No, I know what you're talking about." Like, no, but it was quite humorous. And like, I think she found it funny afterwards, like, well, like a little bit afterwards, once the adrenaline rush, like, kind of went down. But it was funny. I found it quite humorous. And we went to that park a couple more times and such, but it was quite humorous to me. That was my, because it was like, it must have been an electric seat, because it was like coming up really fast. It didn't just pop up. It was funny. And I believe it was a woman in the front seat. We hustled out pretty damn quick. Yeah,
but you don't know what that woman was doing in the car either, that her seat was down. So you guys didn't give it a chance.
No, that's very true. I'm assuming sleeping, but you never know.
You never know. When out of high school, I dated a guy that I had liked for a really long time. And we were we were at a viewpoint in the valley here, and I was giving him a blowjob. And all of a sudden, we heard like metal on the window, and the only thing I could do was like just keep my head down in this guy's crotch, because I didn't want to know what was going on. So he rolled the window down a little bit, and he's like, "Yes, officer," because he saw that it was an officer. And the guy said, "You guys hear anybody making noise out here?" And he's like, "Nope, been pretty quiet." And he goes, "Y'all need to move along now." And he rolled up the window, and I popped up, and I was so embarrassed. But for the next, like, I don't know how many days, all we did was laugh at the fact that we got caught in the middle of that.
Yeah.
It was pretty fun.
Y'all got to move along.
Yeah. He also worked in a food place. And so after hours, I would walk down to where he was at the food place that he worked at, because he'd have to clean up, and we'd mess around in the food prep area in the back, and then bleach it all down and then go home. We used to do that too. So yeah, fun times.
Yeah. So here's one that I got that came up, but everyone either was like super cool or super shit on it, was beaches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's cool living in California, because that's pretty common for people that live around a beach for them to take off and go do that.
Mm-hmm.
The bad part of it is you get sand in places you don't want.
Yeah.
Good part is you normally don't get caught when you're on the beach, but somebody could sit there and watch you. Homeless people, like whomever's out there. I just thought
that most people complained about the sand issue, and that it just sticks and gets to everywhere.
It doesn't matter if you're on top or bottom, you will get sandy.
Yeah, that's no bueno for me.
That's like, what I hear anyway.
I wouldn't know. I've never done the beach, but I've heard horror stories, so it never really went down that route. I was like, yeah, I don't want to get into that, dude. That's craziness. Like,
you heard horror stories?
Yeah, just that it's like it's not
anytime.
It's just not good. It's like, it's just, everything sticks to you. It's like, I don't know.
Still fun.
I guess so. I mean, the sound of the ocean would be cool, but I've done it in a hotel room in Cancun, and literally, like, the ocean was right there. It just crashed all night. So that was kind of cool. So I get the ambiance part, but the sand in my genitals does not sound like a good time.
It doesn't get in your genitals. It gets in our genitals.
Yeah, but there's a motor drive in there of things moving. Like, the last thing you want is sand in it. That's a conducive of sandpaper.
I'm with you.
It's like, yeah, no good. Let's see. The one person said the best ones are always the unconventional places.
Mm-hmm.
Like outside. Outside is good.
In a cave.
In a cave is good. I did it on the outside of a house. on the side of the house with a person that you know.
A person what?
A person that you know, on the side of their house. I was really young. Her parents were actually inside the house at the time. And it was the 4th of July. So I was actually watching fireworks while having sex.
You were seeing stars.
Yeah. I was like, it was right on the side of her house. Like, I'm sure you could see us. With the fireworks going off, I'm sure there was light everywhere, but everyone was looking at the sky instead. But I was what, 18 then? 18. I'm pretty sure.
I know
so
what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about. Which is really funny. Now, here's a funnier part. Another friend of mine who she's a nurse. She lives in Santa Clarita. I was really good friends with her brother. She was literally right down the street. like later on, and she knows her as well.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Because I mean, literally, she was like 4 houses down from her. She's like, really? I was like, oh, yeah, I dated her when I was 18. She's like, oh, wow. Yeah. It's the small world we live in.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty funny. One was by a lake. I could understand that.
Yeah.
Again, nature. This one I think everyone wants, but you kind of just have to have the balls to do it, is on a balcony. I think most people think when they talk about balcony, they think maybe a hotel. Because there's a little voyeurism there.
Right.
Like more being watched. I think I did it on a balcony in an apartment when I was like 21. Because the apartment we had was like, it had a light switch, like an on-off light switch. So like, and it was covered. It was a covered balcony. So like both the top floor and the bottom floor had a cover on it. And it was like midnight dark out there. Like if you didn't turn a light on, like you could sit out on the balcony unless people were looking up or could hear you talking. You couldn't like see human beings. So that was an easy one, but you could see everyone else because the lights were on the bottom floor. So nice. That was an interesting. And
I got a really gross story. Actually, it wasn't gross, but me visually, like thinking about it, I was kind of grossed out, and that was in an Andy Gump. One of my friends told me an Andy Gump story, and I couldn't get over how gross that was.
I don't know if I could do that.
I can't even go to the bathroom in an Andy Gump. I couldn't imagine having sex, touching anything in an Andy Gump. I'm not for it. I mean, I'm pretty adventurous, but that's not what I'm going to be doing.
No, I mean, that's the smell alone. I guess if it was a brand new Andy,
then maybe. Still no. But somebody's crapped in that thing. I just can't. Yeah. I don't say no to things very often if I'm with somebody that I feel comfortable with, but Andy Gump would be a hard no.
I don't know if I could do that. I guess if you were in like a drunken stupor and like you just
still not. I've never been that drunk.
No, I mean, I'm just trying to see, how you could do it. Like, I can understand, like you're looking for hey, like, how did they get to this point? That could be it.
Yeah. How about in a chorus room at a church?
In a what?
That's kind of in a church.
Oh, in a church. Yes.
Yeah.
That's probably high on a lot of people's naughty list.
That they did it or they want to?
That they want to.
Oh, okay.
So, no, you know what I mean? Like, I think that.
Yeah, I get you.
For the people who have done it there,
they're going straight to hell. Straight to hell.
Straight to hell. I mean, unless you're Catholic, and then you just go down to the booth and say sorry.
Yeah. Well, what if it wasn't in a Catholic church? Could that be problematic?
Yeah. I mean, I could make a Catholic priest joke about there's probably lots of sex being done in a church.
Oh, no, let's not do that.
Yeah. we might ruffle some feathers. But if it wasn't in a Catholic church, yeah, you're going to hell.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, wouldn't be the first time I was told that.
Yeah. Well, me either. Man, quite often, actually, I've been told that several times.
Yeah, me too.
How about this one? I'm sorry. What? You were going to say what?
No, go ahead.
What if what?
No, go ahead.
This one said in a restaurant bathroom. That kind of reminds me of like growing up in the mid to late 80s, going down to the Sunset Strip. If you ever went to see some bands in some of those little small clubs like the Troubadour, it wasn't a shock to see a pair of heels and another pair of shoes in the same stall at any moment in some of those clubs.
That's pretty common, actually. Or on a table in a nightclub. That's another one that came up. Nightclubs, it seems like a lot of fun stuff happens in those.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of nooks and crannies. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know about spreading nobody out on a table, but like being in a corner, you could easily disappear into the scenery there. Mostly if it's a dance club and it's very dark.
You don't even have to blend in, because somebody told me at an S&M club with people watching. I was like, ooh, that's ballsy.
Yeah, I think that's a little. So yes, but the club generally knows that. Like, if you're going to see that, because I've been to like the fetish ball, and that place is like squeaky clean, man. There's nobody having no sex there, but it's because the police come through there and make sure nothing's going on. Like the Vice Squad would make sure that everyone is on the up and up, because public sex is illegal.
Right.
So, but I've heard of places that what like you're saying, that is like literally it's you go to
it's made for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then things happen around that, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
So
I got a good story out of it, which was fun, but yeah, there was a lot going on apparently at that place.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of places in San Diego that I heard exist. So you go and just kind of, but it's more like it's like swingers, you know.
I think that's what this was too. More like it was S&M based, but I think it was for more
swinging.
That situation. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't do that. I'm not a good sharer.
Yeah, for me personally, I like sex when I know the person. Like if it's just somebody randomly coming up and doing something, that's not me.
Mm-hmm. I could watch somebody like I said, I went to the fetish ball, and it was like, there are people like strapped to shit, getting beaten and all kinds of shit. Like it was interesting. I'm a voyeur. Like I'm a photographer. So like you kind of have to be a voyeur and kind of understand there's different things. But, when it comes to that, I could go as a couple, I think, and I could go and hang out in that situation, but I don't share well.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd want to do that, only because I don't want to share like that. And again, you don't know who's wanting to share with you or who's going to run up on you. I don't know. To me, that just wasn't my vibe. Yeah,
me either. I mean, I get it. If that's your shtick, more power to you. I just, no, I could go, like I said, I could hang out, and if I could go with my girl and then like, we're going to enjoy the scenery, cool. But, and I think a lot of those places, like, it's known, everything's very upfront. So like
everybody knows what you're doing.
Yeah. Or they know that it's a couple thing and it's not about that. And it's about just, going around. I don't know. Not for me, but more power to you. I mean, if that's your shit, cool. Let's see. This one says outside of a car. So I guess that must be like pulling over and and just throwing down.
Yeah, here's one, a hood of a car off the 15 freeway on the way home from Vegas with two people.
Oh, so wow.
There's a car one for you.
That must have been late. That must have been late at night because the 15.
No, I heard it was middle of the day because it coming back on a Sunday.
Oh man, because the 15 is busy. When I lived in Vegas,
off the 15, but they were coming down to 15 and decided they weren't done yet. So.
Okay, that I understand. Because I was like, the 15 is fucking busy.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know about how there's places to turn off there once you're
there's
out of the way.
There's a few side roads out there that are like Zizek Road. You could go down Zizek Road, and I heard that's like there's not a lot of people on that road, so.
What did you do on that road?
I drove past it a lot. I never got off on that road because I was either
kind of creepy, huh?
Well, I was either in a hurry to get to California or I was in a hurry to get back home to Vegas. So there was no stopping usually when I did that trip, because I had times like I was like, I got to get my boy here and hang out for the weekend, and then I got to get home because I had to be ready for the next week. So yeah, I can understand that.
I remember those days.
How about this one? In or on a boat? I think a lot of people, if you're doing it on a boat, would like to be out and about, kind of like the havasu thing, where you're like, it's more of a spectacle. You know what I mean?
Or
like
find a little nook where nobody's at and you could do it right there and nobody'd see you.
Yeah. I think in havasu, you could probably be in the background and because some of those boats are like insanely full of people just partying and dancing. You could probably literally be in the background and be out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah, no, that's true.
But I think a lot of people too, like if you had a private boat, you just be out on the deck and going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Here's
a cool one. In a lighthouse.
That would be bitching, like way up there. That would be super cool. Yeah. With the light on.
Yep. That's what I heard.
Wow. That's all right. I gotta, whoever did that one, more power. That's pretty fucking cool, because
right,
that's some remembering shit too. Like you're never gonna forget being in a fucking lighthouse.
No, I doubt you would.
Yeah,
or how about in the rain on a hammock?
Oh, that'd be cool. I think just in the rain. I think in the rain just would on be cool.
A hammock would be a little bit fun.
Yeah, exactly. You can mix and match. Hammock though, I think hammock is very limited. You know what I mean? And I think that you as a dude have to kind of be on the bottom, because you have to be able to kind of like put your feet on the side and kind of, because if you're like trying to maneuver in a hammock, dude, it's hard enough to lay in a hammock on your own. Nevertheless, putting another human being in there with you. Yeah, I think it would have to be very placed,
calculated,
and very calculated, so no one gets hurt. You end up spinning off and dumping yourself on your noggin or something. But that and again, I think the rain is kind of a cool thing, but it would have to be like a summer storm where it's like, it's not freezing ass cold outside and you're not getting butchered by the cold rain.
The elements,
but like a nice summer storm, that would probably be a more southern thing, because like down in the South, man, it'll be 85 degrees and out of nowhere it's raining.
Yeah.
So I think that would be kind of cool.
These were all California people that I asked, Southern California people. So the rain, I don't know. I think you kind of have to take it when it's there.
Yeah, that's true.
Just like they said, in a tent while it's raining. I don't want to be anywhere in a tent when it's raining, because that just sounds soggy to me. But
no. If you got a good tent, no, that's bitching. Because then it's like you can hear the elements outside. And when I went camping, we did kind of like we had blow up mattresses and everything. Like we didn't lay on the fucking floor. So like there was none of that shit going on. So
I get you.
I can understand that with a cool like blow up mattress. The rain just kind of off there and the smell of the rain. Cause you're not maybe it was a camping trip in like April, May, June, right? Where it's not the rain, you could get rain mostly up north where you got the rain, but you don't have the freezing temperatures and you're not like really dying in the elements. That I think that would be cool. I can understand that. And again, a mattress, because that I don't do that laying on the ground shit. I'm too old for that. My body does not work when you do that. How about this one? This one came up with another friend of mine, and she said she hasn't done it, but it's on her to-do list. Is a changing room while shopping. Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah, I think, I get that, where it's just like, because that's like spur of the moment shit. Like, come in here, or maybe you're putting on something that's just outrageously hot, and now you're like, whoa, got to jet in there and get things working. Which but she was like, that's on my thing. I was like, all right. That's, and I think that one's probably also high on the list of probably a lot of folks, just because it has to be done rather quickly and with least noise possible, because there could be someone literally in the next room next to you. And I think it's probably easier now because there's like most of the changing rooms are co-ed. Like there's not like the women's changing room. Mostly if you go to like the bigger stores like Target or Kohl's or that kind of, it's just a changing room. You just walk in and do your shit. I've walked out trying on a pair of pants and there's a woman right next to me. So I think it's much easier to get down that route now without being without being afraid of like, the opposite sex walking past you, because they're in there anyway. Yeah. How about this one we talked about a little bit before we got into this conversation? A waterfall. Mm-hmm. I think that's more Hollywood-ish than anything. Maybe behind a waterfall, just because like in it, man, that's just a whole bunch of face full of water, and it's a lot of work. You know what I mean? Like I want it to at least be fun. Like behind it, yeah, I think behind a waterfall might be cool because you're getting that rush of the water, but not the nonsense of being drowned to death while it's like, it's like having sex while being waterboarded. You know what I mean? Just
I get you.
What else?
How about on a rooftop? I've never done that.
Yeah, I have. I did when I was very, very young.
I need to get on it because that just sounded fun.
Yeah. I mean, I was very young, so climbing the tree to get onto the roof was very easy. Now it'd be like you'd have to have a ladder. But yeah, it's cool. It's interesting because like mostly because you do it on the backside of your house. So like you're not being watched or caught because no one's really looking at the roof. I mean, I guess if you had neighbors, but when it's dark out,
nobody cares.
No. And I was young, so it started off as just hanging out with the girl and bullshitting and talking. And then it turned into, hey, oh yeah, let's go. Let's do it. And
another one that you don't really need to go anywhere was a jacuzzi or a pool.
Oh yeah, I think a lot of people have done both of those.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'll
attest to that. I have.
Yeah. Both.
More than once.
I've done both. Yeah. I think that's just, again, a younger thing in the beginning. And then the hot tub one is probably the latter where it's, you have one now, you're old enough, you have one in your own house and that's probably still a common thing. But as a young person, for sure, like it was just easy,
Well, that
bubbles.
was like the places that we could go and kind of hide where mom wasn't watching what we were doing because she knew we were in the pool. So
right. Yeah. And you were just,
she wasn't coming out for anything. But I remember one summer, because we had so much sex in the pool when I was a teenager, that I had a permanent knot on the back of my head from hitting the edge of the pool while we were doing it.
Jesus Christ. A permanent.
It took about 6 months for that knot to completely go away.
Jesus, man.
No joke.
You probably have some kind of brain hemorrhage.
Brain damage? Oh,
brain
thanks.
damage. Yeah. I have some drain damage. It's like,
well, you could do a lot with a little bit of brain damage. So,
that's true.
Don't worry about it.
No, that's very true. I mean, you are still a full functioning adult.
Right.
So obviously it wasn't that bad. That's funny.
Didn't leave me retarded.
Right. And like I said before, hotels, I think hotels too are more where you can.
Aren't you supposed to just have sex if you're at a hotel? Because that's what I thought the rule was.
Well, if you're getting the hotel just for that, yes.
You're getting it for anything.
But I also think that, yes, of course I think you do, because I'm sure if you took a black light in a hotel room, you'd be shocked.
Oh, no, don't say that. I'll never walk into one again.
But I also think that I think that hotel rooms, you end up with the doing more role play or fantasy outside of the norm, because you're away from home. You're going somewhere else. Maybe you're on a vacation somewhere else. So you can, if you're into that kind of thing, the role play and the fantasy part can be a lot more. You can do a lot more there.
I just thought you did it because you were in a hotel room. I thought that was just the rule.
I mean, you can end up, again, I guess it all matters what you're into. You know, if you're, let's say you're on vacation somewhere and you want to do the fantasy of picking up the woman at the bar.
Ooh.
Then you just pick up your lady at the bar and take her back to the hotel room.
There you go.
You know, there's ways of doing those, you know, certain things where, again, you're not in your home base of home. So, you know, anything goes or anything can fly that direction. So, hotels are obviously, and then the flip side of you're just meeting someone in a hotel room because you have to. You know what I mean? Like, for whatever reason. Yeah. I mean, it could be that
because you have to.
Because you have to. I mean, you don't live you don't live in the same town.
Oh, you know, there you go.
You're meeting, you know, it's just whatever the reason is, without getting too deep into that. I mean, hotels. Someone told me sex in a tree. A tree.
Yeah. You told me that.
That's, yeah. I don't know how. That's dangerous shit.
Well, you know, we used to go to an Indian cultural center every weekend when our family was running it. And they had some really good oak trees with these huge branches that were low. So we used to like climb up the tree into the branches and kick back and read, or we'd talk. I did that with my cousin several times. So when you told me about the tree, I was like, that could have definitely happened in those trees.
Okay. So
the branches were big and you could lay down. Yeah. And low enough that you could get up into it.
Then that I can totally dig. Like I can get down with that. I thought like 6 feet in the air. I was like, man, that's a dangerous way to die. You know, you end up falling out, breaking your neck with your pants around your ankles. That's that. You know, how do you?
Could you imagine? How do you tell people that are surviving how the person died?
Well, or no. Let's say you both survived, and you got to call the fucking paramedic, and now you got a broken neck. And with your pants around your ankles, and they're coming up and they're like, hey, you all right?
You shouldn't have sex in the tree.
Yeah, you shouldn't have sex in the tree. But I definitely think it's an interesting thing. And maybe I go down the route of what you're saying, where like, you know, a lot of those older, like big oak trees in the South,
they
huge. Just have these huge, long branches. There was, you know, now that I think about it, there's probably a lot of sex going on, or, you know, with young kids out in the fields and shit. Cause there was these big trees that you could just lay in and bullshit. But, you know, what happens next makes sense to me now. So
yeah.
One for
or
you.
like even, another one was, you know, how in Nacimiento, after it, rains a lot, the grass gets very tall. Like you could literally sit down in it and nobody would see you in a field of grass. I remember we went there once, me and my ex boyfriend at the time, and we went out there like 2-3 times during the day and just had sex in the tall grass, just because we were camping and there was nothing to do, or we didn't want to do what everybody else was doing. So I spent a lot of time in that tall grass that week. That was fun.
Well, my mom grew up in Iowa, so cornfields were
cornfields.
Oh no, very, very much a place to go.
Did you have sex in a cornfield, Rob?
I have not, but
missed opportunity.
I know, right? I need to take a trip to Iowa. But it definitely was easy because like my grandma's backyard. She had a big backyard. It was literally ass ended up to a cornfield that you could not see the farm. That's how big this fucking cornfield was. So yeah, and people went out in the corn. I not that I'm scared, but it's a scary, because when they get big, I mean, they're like 7 or 8 feet tall, and like you cannot see shit. And if you get turned around in a cornfield, you're, pardon the pun, fucked. Like, you know, so. But I know people who lived in these small towns that have definitely had their fair share of sex.
Come on. If you were around cornfields, you'd have to do it if you were a teenager. That would just be something that, you know, like the pool, when we were at the pool, or on the football field at school, or you know what I mean? Like,
truly,
that's where we were.
You don't have to go in very far to disappear in a cornfield.
Right.
You know, you go 6 feet out and people cannot see you. They might see they might see the stalks moving, though. That might be funny. They're just going back and forth, like, you know, there's no wind, but those stalks right there are moving. So that's kind of funny, though. I had a friend. I asked a friend that we don't normally talk about sex, which is interesting. And he told me 2 places that were kind of funny, but didn't give me any background. And he wanted to do it right before we got on here. And I was like, I got to go, but I want to hear those stories. Right. One, he said a nurse took advantage of him while he was in the hospital. I was like, what? Wow.
That's the start of many porn.
Yeah. Wow.
From back in the day. Yeah. And then another one.
Like had sex with him, or just fondled his junk?
I'll have to get some clarification for you.
Yeah. Because like a sexual thing's a whole other level of like, wow. Jeez. That's
a whole nother level of care. No,
that is like, what insurance did he have?
Right. I don't know, but I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah. And what did they charge him? Because I only have Kaiser. So I want to know if it's better.
Well, maybe I should give you his number. He'll probably tell you quicker than he would.
Yeah, that's
and then another one he said was while horseback riding. Now that would take a little bit of
that would take a lot of something.
Yeah.
That would take
again. I'm looking forward to hearing the whole story now that he put that out there, and I couldn't ask him.
I mean, to stay excited while on a horse might be a difficult thing. You know what I mean? Like, my head goes into like, am I going to get thrown off this fucking thing? You know what I mean? Like,
I don't really think that you think about that, though, when you've got your dick inside somebody. That's just me.
I don't know, man.
I'll ask him. I'll ask him what he was worried about at the time.
That's a big ass animal. So
that is a big ass animal.
I might be a little more scared, but interesting. Wow. I had one. It was at a volcano, an active volcano in the Hawaiian Islands.
That would be cool, because there's lots of places to hide there.
I was like, wow, that's an interesting one. And she said it was. So this was a person who actually did the deed.
Yeah.
It's like, wow.
I got a lot of bathroom stories, like bathroom at work, bathroom at the mall, bathroom at a country club during a wedding.
Wow. That's I think the leaving during a wedding and finding someplace, you know, the bathroom or the, you know, broom closet or something like that. But yeah, I think that's probably more common than not.
Yeah.
Because it's easy. And mostly now where they have like fucking family bathrooms. You just go to the family bathroom and try to make a family.
Try to make a family.
Wouldn't that be your argument if you got caught? It said family bathroom. We were trying.
Right. We're just trying to make one. I never would have thought that. I would have been like, keep your mouth open, or keep your mouth shut open. Keep your mouth shut and just get the hell out of there before, security comes.
All right.
But in the closet too, I had a lot of friends that have young kids that said, oh yeah, you got to do it in the little walk-in closet. There's just enough room to do it. And the kids don't know where you are. They can't find you.
That
was funny to me.
I probably I either made my son in a shower or in the closet. One of the two. Because I had older daughters. So we had to make time. And like when my son was being made, we were on a calendar.
So you were working on it.
Oh yeah. Like it was have sex as much as you can, as many times as you can in a certain amount of time. So shower and that we had a big walk-in closet where I lived, like big, like, like there was no issue with size. Like
nice.
Yeah. Like you could have fit 2 couples in there at the same time, opposite of each other, looking different directions, and it would have been fine. So it was a big closet, but yeah, that was a commonplace because my girls were older. I mean, when my son was born, my oldest stepdaughter was 15. So they were older. Yeah. So you had to get creative. So
when I was married, my ex would come home from work every day and I would stop cooking because I was cooking for him, but he wouldn't eat right away. So he'd go in the room and he'd change his clothes and I would go turn everything off, go in the room with him and find out how his day was. That was our time to talk. And then as my daughter got older, she said to her friend, I overheard her in her bedroom saying, "Oh yeah, my mom's a freak. They go and have sex every day after dad gets home from work. It's like she can't even wait till after dinner to do this." Right. And I heard her say that. I said, "Do you really think that we're having sex every day?" She goes, "Yeah, isn't that your job, is being the wife?" And I'm like, "It absolutely is my job." But now that you're older, let me tell you what was really going on. Your dad came home, he needed to change, and we'd smoke some weed before we come out, finish dinner, and talk to you. That's what we were doing on a daily. But she had all these opinions about me and what I was doing and what a freak I was. And it wasn't about her dad, it was about me. So I don't know where she got all that, but I thought it was kind of funny that we weren't even doing that, but she had us pegged for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, I think that I'm sure my girls at some point probably thought some stuff. So I know we never went down that road.
I never wanted to think like that about my parents. That didn't do it for me. I did not want to know what they were doing.
I thought that they just didn't have sex, if we're being honest.
Right?
I never thought.
I walked in on my parents once. I will never walk in a door without knocking again.
Yeah,
never.
I never did.
And I was like 20 when I did it.
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, no, never again.
Here's another one in the doorways, like having sex in doorways. So I think that's probably just a more room to room thing, where you're just kind of, fighting down the hallway. I did that. Yeah. I had a little soiree down a hallway where it was just like, and I mean borderline fighting each other and not
abusive.
Yeah. There was like hair getting tugged on both sides, like just down dirty, rolling down the both sides of the hallway. Just that was a fun one. And
how about against a brick wall at a Circle K where people are getting gas?
Yeah, no.
That's a cool one.
That is. And I guess and again, time periods matter. Like we have to discuss when this kind of sex is going on. Because again, when we talk about a balcony at night in a hotel, you can kind of go, whatever. During the daytime, that's a whole other thing where maybe you're looking down at the pool and it's like a big hotel, like let's say Vegas, where there's 100 rooms and you're out there during the daytime where people can literally see you. I think that's why people do that kind of stuff. It's voyeuristic and kind of not that they want to be seen, but they want to be seen.
When they said, people were getting gas, I'm assuming there were people there at least. So somebody was seeing something.
Yeah, I'm sure. And I guess, and It's not hard to do. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to get naked. Just drop trawl.
Not always.
No. And again, if it's for the girl, it could be very easy. If it's a girl with a skirt on, it's hike it and go. So I understand that. I think that it's quick and easy, but I guess if you're in a hurry, but if not, I guess if you're just going at it, I'm sure it's not uncommon. Public sex is definitely a bigger thing because people, it's the excitement of getting caught. That's the part of it. Here's I wanted to leave this one at least for somewhat last because I thought it was an interesting one. And someone told me,
I have a couple more real quick. We should go through.
No, you can go through those. I'll just go through. This is the last one on my list of people sending me stuff was a cemetery.
Yeah.
And
I'll pass.
And I thought it was quite interesting. I actually made a pun to her that, like no one bothered her. And she goes, and then she came back with the pun as well, that there wasn't a soul that bothered her.
Yeah.
And I was like, that was, well played, young lady. But it's very true. Like there's no one there. And I think it's more like she even said, she goes, it's because it was really pretty. And it must have been in a different state because obviously California doesn't have big headstones, or they do, but they're not commonplace here.
Right.
Like you go to the East Coast, and I remember when I went back to New York when I was it was like 80, 88. And the person I went to see, they had rented a house literally across the street from a cemetery, big. And like, it was crazy. There were like 7-foot headstones, like big, and like huge crosses and angels, and like, it was bitching. Like, so I can understand.
Have those back east. They're beautiful.
Yeah. I can understand the beauty of a cemetery when you look at it that way with like mausoleums and like,
yeah.
And in theory, a lot of good places to have sex because, no one's going to see you, and you can be around that kind of thing. So I can understand that, but I guess I'll have to ask this young lady as well about the cemetery one in depth. So, and wonder where it was and such. But that's really all the ones that I have that are the people's best places to have sex.
Yeah, I got a couple more. My friend said that she went hiking and they had sex when they got to the top of the hill. That's cool because know exactly who's around you. That's
and I can understand that. I think nature's a big one. Maybe it's a little more primal. Our ancestors where they didn't have. Did you ever see the movie Quest for Fire?
No.
There's a part in Quest for Fire where these girls go up to the lake or the river and they're getting water in their hands and they're drinking it. And there's these two cavemen that literally just run up behind them and start going to work. Like literally, because everyone's naked, right? So they're just, and maybe that's part of it. The primal thing of being outdoors in nature and being one with nature instead of being in a house or in a bedroom.
Gotcha. So I had one that I see where it could have happened, but that had to have been a little bit difficult. And this one is in the bed of a truck while driving on the freeway.
Wow. That must have been a long time ago.
Yeah, I don't know.
And I guess it would be easy if it had a cab.
Well, there's that, but it was in the bed of the truck.
Yeah, I could do it in the bed of a truck, I think, as long as it had a cab on it. Just the again, like the noise and the wind, and I guess it would be cool, but man, very easily seen.
I get you.
Know what I mean? But yeah, I can understand that. Again, you're outdoors, you're driving fast. There's a lot of different excitement. It'd almost be like, hey, trying to have sex on a roller coaster.
Yeah.
I know Disneyland's high on a lot of people's.
Really?
Oh yeah. Finding a place in Disneyland that you won't get caught because there's so many cameras there.
Yeah, that's not one of my places.
I have a lot of friends who are Disney geeks, so I think it's a mixture of both, of like trying to find that one place where you won't get in trouble.
I get you. So my last one is one I was like, hell yeah, check you out.
Okay.
That was in a cop car.
Okay. I almost, there's got to be a bigger story to that.
There is a bigger story.
I mean, was it someone who was an officer?
Yes.
Okay. That makes way more sense. I was like,
yeah, but still, that's ballsy in a cop car. I'm like,
oh no, that's
hands
super
down,
ballsy.
That's crazy.
Oh no, super ballsy. I'll have to ask my my buddy who's an LAPD officer about that. Like, because like I can get it if you're a cop and maybe you're, I mean, they get a lunch break, but yeah, it's still ballsy. I mean,
you know how much trouble they would get into for that though?
You would get fired because that just happened here in California.
Really?
I think it was in California. Maybe I'd have to look at the story. Some girl on her break was having sex in her cop car and her mic was open.
Oh no.
Oh yes.
Oh no.
And they all heard it.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah. I want to say she got fired.
Oh yeah. You're not supposed to, for insurance purposes, you're not supposed to have anybody in the car.
Mm-hmm. It also might have been another officer.
Oh.
Yeah. Well, that one girl just got busted in Tennessee. She was having an affair with like 5 other cops.
What?
You didn't hear about that?
I don't watch TV.
Oh, it was, well, there's been a million memes about it. So if you see a meme about some girl who's it was her, and she was married, supposedly in an open relationship, but there was 5 other officers that were all having sex with her.
Oh shit.
Yeah. They all got, I think 4 of them got fired, 2 got suspended, but not fired. And then she got let go as well. Crazy, but
nice.
Yeah, a cop car. I mean, I get it.
Yeah, in a cop car.
Yikes. That's a story, though. It's good because you could hold on to the cage. You know what I mean? Like, I guess if you're looking at it from the cop standpoint, and I guess if you're into that, you could get handcuffed in it.
Oh. There's
a whole other, like, role play part of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Without getting too graphic. There's a lot of things I'm sure that could go along with that. I mean, look, having sex in different places is obviously a driving part of a good relationship. Mm-hmm. So I think coming up with better places other than home.
Yeah.
Is always going to be a top of the list of people.
Look, if you're in a relationship, you should be doing all these things, doing it as much as you can, making it fun so it never gets stagnant. Like that's just, in my opinion, that's just the way you should be. And if you're not, get on it.
Yeah. I mean, I think this should definitely be a public service announcement. Wait, look at that. And look at that. The bell hit right at the best time. That was perfect. Like you almost planned your watch going off. That was money. But I definitely think this should be a public service announcement for people. Like, look, you do have to keep things fresh.
Yes.
I'm not telling you to go out and have sex in a cop car, but I'm definitely saying.
If you can.
But if you can, you should do that.
Be really careful.
Be really careful. Don't get
That's not the place you want to do video.
No. No. And here's my other thing too. And it's funny because I don't know if you've ever done it on a video before, but it's quite humorous for one, that if you look back on it, I would say these days don't ever do that ever. It's just not conducive to a healthy relationship long term, because I think too many people try to use that against you.
well, if they do, you shouldn't be with somebody like that anyway. Like,
no, I know, but
to me, it's like, please have as many experiences as you can, because this is your life. You know, when you're sitting there dying on your deathbed and you're thinking, oh, I really wish I would have done that. Like, what the hell? Go do it. And then think, well, that might not have been the best idea, but I'm glad I did it. I'm a fan of that. Do whatever you got to do. Make yourself happy. Make your partner happy. Quit with the excuses. Make it fun.
I was with a young lady that was like, I brought it up just in jest, like, oh yeah. She was like, hell no, we're not doing that. But I also think it was more, she's like, I don't like looking at myself. I don't want to see it on video later. And I get it. Like, there's not much to it. I giggled a lot, and it was back when I was like, in my 20s. So because you actually, it's not like watching porn, because porn is acted. So it's, it's a lot different when you're watching two people literally just having sex with each other. But I do think you should live a little. And if you can find, well, yes, live a lot. Actually live a lot. But the interesting thing about best places for sex is that when you ask people, there's always going to be those core answers. Like, again, like the beach. The beach came up a lot, but there was a lot of these more odd ones where you're just like, oh yeah, or this, and everyone had a car story. I think that every single person that I asked was like, oh, inside a car. And then I was like, oh, do you have a story? And they're like, oh yeah, of course I do. So everyone has that story of being in a car, which is quite interesting because everyone's afraid of getting caught. And again, my stories were in the daytime. So it's even more of a rush of getting caught. So I think it's quite interesting that there's so many stories, because we're all the same. That's kind of the best part. You look at being human, and these places to have sex are quite common and quite adventurous. So I think there's a lot to it. But I agree with you. I think it's something that you have to do. You have to live a little bit. Don't be afraid.
Nope.
Anything else for this over hour episode?
We haven't talked about sex at all. We keep it pretty PG on here. And I have enjoyed doing this episode. Not that I want to spill all my beans, but I had friends that helped me spill beans. But I think we need to do more of this sort of thing from time to time. Not always, but definitely.
For sure.
This won't be the last one.
Oh, no.
We have a couple of shows that we want to do. But in doing so, we just got to be brave and open about what comes next. So that's going to start now.
I've talked to some more people too about what maybe being involved in the 3-part series that we wanted to do. And I think there's a lot to that. Yeah. So we'll see. Well, I'm working on that. So that's something that's on the back burner, but definitely going to happen. And the rest of this month, you're going to hear more things about, obviously, love, sex, relationships, since this is February, the love month. So, we're going to do one on Valentine's Day and the lack thereof, or what you believe Valentine's Day is or what it's not. So I think that's going to be our next episode. So if you keep coming back, thanks for all the listeners. We had our best month ever in January. So for all the people that are jumping on and listening to the show all over the world, because that is another thing that we've had a lot of over the last 30 days, lots of things outside of the United States, which is super duper cool. I think.
And I had a friend that moved away. She's been an avid listener. I have a friend that lives in Granada Hills, but I don't get to see him very much. He listens all the time. My cousin even started listening. So all of you guys that have told me this week that you listen, thank you so much for doing so. And I hope that you like it. And the only feedback that I got is like, Tina, you need to open up more. So I guess I will be incriminating myself a little bit more.
Awesome.
In the next coming episode. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah. So thanks to Canada. We've had some in Canada, United Kingdom, Ireland, Germany. We had Norway for the first time. Super cool. Please keep sharing. If you like our show, send our show to your friends, anyone who listens to podcasts. So, and again, thank you for the people who are jumping on and catching up. We've had some people that have literally listened to the whole last year of shows that are caught up. So I think it's super awesome. Thank you
for that, by the way.
Thank you so much. Keep sharing. Any last words before we say goodbye for this show?
Have more sex in crazy places and then tell me. So I have something to talk about.
Yeah. So we have a part 2 to this show, or actually, or we're going to probably talk about that in our little 3-parter. So
yes, here it goes.
Awesome. This is an opinion show, so don't get it twisted. We try to have a good time and, be a little more adult every blue moon. Until next Wednesday.
You're right.
I am Rob, along with my co-host Tina. We'll see you in a week. Thank you so much, Tina. It's always a pleasure.
Absolutely.
Cheers.
Have a good one.
You too.